family owned by this company. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I'm not starting until you're all back, so.
The interesting thing about Venmo though being, you know, how you.
How are you doing?
And
You're here. You're here. What's this?
the facilities. It's all of it, money. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Wait, 1 minute. It's everybody.
So I owe you 10 bucks.
Whatever.
It's 7 o'clock. Perfect timing. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act and is open to the media and public. Notices were duly posted and the meeting was advertised in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News. Formal action may be taken. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice.
Here.
Carol Hample.
Here.
Rob McCallum.
Here.
Andrew Saunders.
Here.
Thomas Wallace.
Here.
Anna Shin.
Here.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
2 are absent.
Can we stand for the flag salute?
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Board of Education meeting. This evening, the first item on the superintendent's agenda is the recipients of the BASF grant. Students from Mrs. Freeman's class are going to be joining us tonight and talking about their project for the BASF grant. I want to share a little bit of information to you. We're delighted to let you know that the Reddington Middle School has been awarded $5,000 from BASF to delve deeper into their investigation of sustainable food production for the future. The Reddington Middle School students applied for the grant, and I just would like to read a little excerpt from their application. It says, "If Earth is the water planet, then maybe we can grow food on water. If climate change disrupts agriculture and food security, then maybe we can develop technologies that help food producers plan and withstand unpredictability and new challenges. If our population exceeds 9 billion by 2050, how can we help ensure people, planet, and the economy prosper together?" These are among the many questions our middle schoolers are asking today and hoping to tackle in their future. Their grant request, titled Feeding Our Future, supports students in investigating questions related to sustainable food production, climate change, and adaptability as they explore where Earth's chemistry, flora, fauna, and human technology intersect as they design and build their own aquaponic food system. The aim of these students and their grant is to empower our students to investigate and explore ways to grow food sustainably now and in the future to increase food security for all. So I'd like to offer a congratulations to the students of Reddington Middle School for this honor in receiving $5,000 from BASF as an award for their most extraordinary application and investigation into sustainable food. So congratulations, everyone. I have some certificates of recognition, so I'll call out the student names. If you could come up and receive your certificate. Braden Galloway. Martal Hoffman. Tony Case. I think this will be a little easier. Wilda Lago. Andrew Leibowitz. Eddie Lau. Jasmine Rolofsky. Christopher Sereo. Congratulations once again for this extraordinary award and this extraordinary accomplishment. We are so very proud of you, our students at Reddington Middle School. Thank you so much. This is great. Mrs. Freeman, would you like to introduce students and say a few things?
So this team, as I'm sure we'll share in a few minutes, are just the primary students that went out to get the funding for the investigation. But we have a whole bunch of other students at RMS who are equally interested in developing an aquaponics system for food production. And then, as you know, in this area, everybody loves to fish. And so we're looking for a lot of hands. But I think this team can speak to their work.
Hi, my name is Sony Keza, and we are the 8th grade fit team. We want to thank you for your time and recognition. Recently, we were awarded the $5,000 STEM grant from the ASF. The exciting aspect of this grant is that we were empowered to set our own goals and reach while helping people too.
Hi, my name is Andrew. Our work is all for the United Nations Global Goals for Sustainable Development. We started off with the idea that kids can help too, in disaster preparedness and relief, with the catastrophe care kit for kids. We worked with experts to grow our ideas further. We are awarded the grant from New Jersey Steam Tank for the care kit, and we use this for our next project, FIG, Fresh Foods for Indoor Gardens. But we wanted to understand more about sustainable growth and production. So we wrote the Food for Thought grant, and we're funded by Sustainable Jersey to investigate aeroponic, hydroponic, and traditional farming. We apply all our work in the fields of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We're constantly growing and evolving our ideas. And the latest is our Feeding Our Future investigation, funding by the ASF. Martel and Chris will share more about this.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Orlovsky. I'm an athlete and I play a lot of team sports. What's great about this type of project is that it requires working with a team. We know for a team to be successful, we have to cooperate with each other and all play our part. While we started this, ultimately kids across the school will work and learn with us.
Hi, I'm Martel, and after having studied hydroponic models for FIG, our work evolved and we decided against it and decided instead to create an aquaponics growing system. It's a form of integrated farming where we use fish to help plants grow instead of having a farm with soil that needs to be constantly watered. Our goal is to have the aquaponics farm to share with the entire school and to eliminate food insecurity.
I'm Chris, and aquaponics isn't really new, but what is us learning and creating our own new regenerative system. And what are regenerative systems exactly? They basically use the output as the feed for the input of the garden in this case, and they use resources more sustainably.
Hi, I'm Braden, and whenever we're working on these inventions, we use a certain process, which is kind of a mix of the scientific method and the engineering method. The first step is to ask a question or define a problem. And for this, the global goals are always our foundation. The next step we usually go through is conducting research, primary and secondary research. We do lots of brainstorming for solutions next. And then after that, we make prototypes of what we think we're going to be creating. We test and share our results with other people for information back to us. And then we go back on that and improve. And while we were doing this, it's all about building on each other's ideas and working together as a team to get it done.
Hi, I'm Wilda. We're also recycling K-cups and old paper with discarded 3D printer waste to grow our plants in a compost solution. Why use paper-like materials? Paper will soak up water like soil will, and it will keep the plant roots in place while growing.
Hello, I'm Eddie. So as you know, regenerative systems, they're basically the food of the future. They're more sustainable and, they use less resources. Now, along with these regenerative systems, we're also going to be researching 3D substrates and also different anaerobic systems such as bokashi composting. And over this whole entire process, we're going to be learning. No matter if we, come across problems or we make mistakes, we're always going to be learning and improving. And I guess that's what's really important. So again, we'd like to thank you for this recognition and have a good night.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for coming out this evening to teach us about your process for your grant. Mrs. Freeman, thank you for being here with your students also. And Mrs. Moffat, thank you for coming tonight this evening. Before you leave, ladies and gents, if I could get a picture with everyone, and then you're free to move about your evening. Thank you so much and congratulations again. This is truly a great accomplishment, and for the board, you'll see that the accepting of the $5,000 grant is on the agenda for tonight. Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Simon, join us for
Would you like to use your
Oh, you should be in. Yeah, you should be in.
Yeah.
I always said no. All right, everybody ready?
They're adorable. Thank you, everyone.
Next this evening on the agenda, I'd like to recognize one of our board members, Jared Beatrice. Mr. Beatrice, on behalf of the staff, administration, and the students here in Reddington Township, I'd like to sincerely thank you for your year of service on the Board of Education. It's been a wonderful year. I'm sure it's been a learning experience, and there's a lot of work and dedication that happens on the board behind the scenes. So I want to thank you so very much for your service to the board this year. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
We have a recognition.
Okay.
There you go. I mean, if I could just say a couple of things, this was a great, I was hoping there'd be a bigger audience when we have these meetings, and I just say things come up, but lose everybody after like the fun stuff happens, but I feel very fortunate to have had this opportunity for this year. I have really enjoyed it. It is kind of a it's good to be a part of your kids' schools or your town schools to try and do anything you can to help make them better, make a difference. I mean, honestly, I would have liked to continue in this position. Like I said, the one time I filled was filling in the 1-year position, but I was actually glad to see that this year there's actually, first time since I've lived in this town, we're actually seeing more candidates than positions, which I hope that that's a continued trend where you get more people that are actually interested, because it kind of, you got great people that want to do the right thing, but it's kind of nice to get different people coming through at different times. So everything I went to HSA meetings, different things, I always told people, I said, if you have an interest in your schools, you should look into taking one of these seats, and it really does give you great perspective. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank
Good luck
you.
with everything, all the challenges you got going forward. And don't be surprised, you might see me on the ballot again. This morning, you may see Jared Peters on the ballot again.
Thanks, Jared. Really appreciate it. Finally, our final recognition, Mrs. Birmingham's sixth grade math teacher over at RMS won the Garden Distinction Award of 2019 for her work over at the RMS Garden. She couldn't be here tonight, but Mrs. Moffat and I did bring over a nice recognition and flowers to her during a faculty meeting last month. So we did recognize her. We have a little certificate for her for tonight that we'll send over to her, but she couldn't be here. So really nice award that she received. Once again, our garden over at RMS was selected from over 400 entries. The letter from the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society applauds our gardening efforts, enthusiasm, and then celebrates our contribution to creating sustainable, healthy, and beautiful communities. So congratulations to Mrs. Birmingham, which is great.
I'd like to just add that the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, they're the ones who sponsor the Philadelphia Flower Show. It's a very, very prestigious, very storied, very honored society, and for us to have won it from them really is a mark of distinction, and it's really something that she should be. Please pass on to her.
I will.
Our thanks for doing such a good job.
It's remarkable.
Last year too.
She did.
Similar?
Yeah, I think this is actually her third year running winning this award. I think this is the third year in a row for all the work that she did. She does have it. She really does. She has a green thumb, and you know, she carries the students do the work with her through the gardening club from, you know, planting through harvesting. And I think even as recently as November, she was harvesting maybe sweet potatoes and some fall things. So yeah, she continues this all through the year. It's awesome. It really is. It's very nice. So I'll pass that along to her. Let her know that we reckon. She knew that we were going to recognize her tonight, so I'll let her know that we have her certificate for her. The strategic planning meetings due to the snow day have been moved to January 8 and 9. So we'll have a full update for the board after those meetings occur. Those are the two core planning team meetings that happen during the day. The final thing that I want to bring your attention to, although I didn't put it as a bullet point on the agenda, in your packets, you should have a proposed calendar for board meetings starting in January. So you'll see, just a reminder, January 7th is our reorg meeting. This is the proposed calendar, keeps the meeting structure relatively similar, although for several months we do reduce to one meeting a month, except during our busy times like budget season and toward the end of the year when we recognize our honorees, our staff members for their retirement or those who've won Teacher of the Year. No action is needed on this tonight, but feedback, should you wish to give it, we're open to it for tonight, and this would be taken action on at the reorganization meeting on January 7th. So just something for you to review. You'll see things are relatively the same through March. March, we have a tentative budget adoption on March 10th. No meeting, no second meeting in March, but we do have a meeting in April, on April 7th. We have one meeting, Jason and I built in one meeting prior to the final budget adoption, just in the event that the state or that we get information from the state or anything comes from the board or the public that would require us to address any budget issues in between our tentative adoption and final adoption. We built in one board meeting. After that, in May, we have two meetings, one for ordinary business and one to celebrate our honorees and our retirees. And June, we have one meeting early in June and no scheduled meeting, as we ordinarily didn't have the second meeting. July and August, we kept the calendar the same, 5 o'clock meetings at the end of July and then one at the end of August. And then September through December, we have one meeting a month, and we put the school highlights in the fall, starting in October and running through January for next year. So take a look.
Does anyone have any questions on or concerns about going to one meeting versus two on some of the months? I know we've considered this over the years, and we've always kind of reverted back to 2 meetings a month where possible, except for the summer. So if you have any objections, let us know.
Would negotiations affect meetings and the need for meetings anymore?
It's hopefully not. The negotiation meetings are usually, once a month. And hopefully we get it done before June, before the contract, is up. So we should be okay.
I'll add too, this is our schedule. We could always, if needed, we can always schedule a board meeting as needed, as long as we advertise too. So nothing says that should we find a need for a meeting that we wouldn't be able to actually have a meeting. We certainly could have one if we need one, even if it's not on the schedule.
Actually, and we've done that in the past, not for negotiations, but for other topics.
Right.
We just poll the board to see who's available and then post for it, Does anyone have any concerns? No?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This was not an agenda item either, but compliments of Mrs. Hart. She made holiday treats for everybody tonight too. So feel free to take a cookie or a candy cane or a pretzel. If the baking is not good, then I baked that set of cookies, just so you know. Because I did bake one. I'm not going to tell you which one. So. If they're not good, it's my fault. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your winter break.
Can you leave now?
Not like a goodbye.
You did.
Last time I think I forgot to pass them out, so I want to make sure I get to them. That concludes my superintendent's report.
Okay.
Unless there's anything else out there from the report. Questions?
We are now open to the public, limited to action items on the agenda. Not hearing any. Correspondence, we had one regarding this coming year's yearbook. Administrative reports, can I get a motion to adopt 1.01 to 1.03?
So moved. Second.
Any questions on the items? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chad Beatrice,
Abstain.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes?
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt 2.01 to 2.02?
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions or changes for the minutes? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chad Beatrice,
Abstain.
Ray Egbert,
Abstain?
Carol Hample,
Yes?
Rob McCallum,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Finance and facilities. Can I get a motion to adopt 3.01 to 3.06?
So moved.
Second?
We have committee reports.
We do. We have two, actually. All right. First one, we met on Friday, November 15th. We discussed the 2019-20 capital projects. We continue talking about the status of the vestibule project. The condensate tank at Three Bridges was currently being installed, or had been installed, and was operating normally. One boiler is operational there at the time with repairs on the second one almost completed. And one boiler can sufficiently heat the building. And there's been no problems with the heat so far. Another maintenance project was the Three Bridges parking lot. The French drain was installed and appears to be working as planned. We'll see, I guess, probably tomorrow after all the rain and ice, see if it freezes up again.
What? Where's the wood?
There's going to be no snow.
No. Okay, just saying.
No, I'm just ignoring
Well, it's
it.
rained for 2 days, so I'm assuming that there's, I wonder if it's been,
Never
Ms. Higgins.
assume. Never.
Well, if it's been working well, the French drain, because this was probably the biggest test for it. I don't know. if
That's
Ms.
different
Higgins-
than predicting snow for
Okay, all
tomorrow.
right. I'll leave the ice and snow alone.
Say that's different.
We'll just say the rain. Moving on to the 2020-21 capital projects. On November 8th, the HBS gym floor was air and floor was tested. And at the time, the results were going to be reviewed with committee and administration to determine what future action was required, if any. And the results were expected before Thanksgiving. So I'm going to read these as is, and then we'll come back to the next set. Summer 2020 capital projects and security 3-year plan. We reviewed portions of the plan and no recommendations at that time. IT department proposed projects, we reviewed proposed items there, no recommendations at that time. Same thing with facilities department. They had some projects and no recommendation. And then there was a long range facilities plan with the architects. They presented a draft version of the plan and the timeline for the final plan. And this plan is expected board approval in January 2020. The committee reviewed the potential student impact of the Willows at Nelson Street. We also reviewed the resolution to be presented. You'll see that on the agenda tonight for the pilot program. And the board, the committee is recommending approval of this resolution. And then we reviewed the board's Go 2, 3, and 6, which relate to finance and facilities. Finance agenda items, all items are normal in nature, except for the pilot resolution, which you'll see, which is on there tonight, and the bills list were standard. And then we scheduled the next meeting for December 6th, which those minutes are as follows. We had 2 representatives from BKC CPAs, which are our auditors who audit the financials and operations of the school district. The audited financials, they're not totally completed. We're always waiting on the final state pension amounts until those amounts come from the state and go in the footnotes, so they can't technically be totally completed until those numbers are received. Some summary items were noted that the representatives went over. The general tax levy increased from the prior year by 4.9%. This is more than the state cap of 2% because of use of prior bank cap. And the bank cap expected for the 2021 budget year is going to be minimal. It's pretty much been used up. The state aid increased from the prior year. And again, when I say prior year, this is the 18-19, right? Is that right? 18-19 financial audit? Right, all right, ending June 30th, 2019. So the state aid increased by 12.48%, which is about 213,000. The overall expenditures decreased by 0.72%, which is about 243,000. Most categories presented at a high level, as how we reviewed it. It was increased less than 10%. The only one that increased over to 10% was the out-of-district tuition, which is about almost 100,000. And this is due to an increase in out-of-district placements of special needs students. Our capital outlays increased by 54%, about 465,000, which is due mainly to the RMS bathroom renovations that we did. The debt service principal payments, it's another big decrease of about 55%, which is about 1.8 million due to the expiration of 3 debt issuances. Excess funds that remained at 6/30/19 allow the district to contribute additional funds to the capital reserve accounts of approximately 850,000. And then to the emergency reserve for 8,600, and to the maintenance reserves, 200,000. Just a couple of other items to note. The average daily enrollment in 2018-19 was 1,490, which reflects a 29% decrease over a 10-year period and a 5-year decrease of 15%. There were 2 audit recommendations. The first related to extraordinary aid, state aid, to ensure that the state reports are reviewed after data entry. And the second related to student activity funds to ensure proper approvals of expenditures. And then for the 1920 capital projects, we continue discussing the vegetable project. And then for the 2021 projects, again, on November 8th, the air and floor were tested in the HBS gym. The report stated no mercury vapors in the air and minimal trace mercury levels from the floor samples. The report concluded no identifiable hazard to children with respect to the exposure to mercury vapors. And the committee expressed a desire to request a TCLP test to ensure no mercury volatility exists. I'm just reading what the report says. I can't explain that. So if this test is negative, no further action will be deemed necessary. And I think we're hoping to get that done before year end, right? Okay.
We've contacted the vendor who did the previous air and floor testing, and they're going to come back out. They have to take additional samples.
Okay.
And then it's about a 2-week turnaround from then.
Okay.
And as of today, and Jason, unless you heard differently, I don't think it's yet been scheduled, but there's an open PO for it, and they're aware that we want the additional testing. Okay.
So is the flooring been removed or?
It's not. It has not been removed. No, it's a sample of the floor that gets removed to do the testing.
So I guess if the mercury is contained and encapsulated, then it's deemed safe.
No, we're actually testing to make sure that there's no mercury to escape.
Right.
So there's no
That,
encapsulating.
that's the volatility test, right?
That's-
So
yeah.
that's going to determine if ever, it is not a problem now based off of the fact that there's no detected vapor in the air. But if there is a certain volatile level of mercury in the floor, which we have yet to determine, then it could eventually become something that we want to investigate as replacement in the future. And that's what we're trying to determine.
Oh, see, the way the report said there was no mercury vapors in the air and minimal trace mercury levels from the floor samples. So it sounds as if we'd already gotten back some results already.
Yes.
In
But this
total-
From the first test.
Right, from the first test, which tests total mercury in the floor, but doesn't necessarily test the term we're using, which is volatility, which is it a problem? Right.
So it's just one more test to get done, just to ensure that we're doing every test that's out there. Basically.
Right.
IT department proposed projects. We reviewed items related to smart board refresh at RMS. The current smart boards utilize a Windows 7, which will no longer be supported, and the new smart boards will have a Windows 10 along with newer projectors. The estimated budget amount is $250,000, and this project will be listed on the long-range facilities plan expected to be presented in January 2020. The facilities department also proposed projects. The priority project and most expensive is the boiler replacement. There's still being repairs done. There's just repairs are becoming more costlier and time consuming. The architects are still waiting engineer specifications to obtain a cost estimate. And so there's no recommendation currently. And then the architects are continuing completing the plan, the long range facilities plan again for board approval in January. Go ahead.
On the boiler replacement, there is, are they considering, as energy efficient, the boilers?
Yes. Yep. I think it's high efficiency. Yep. High efficiency boiler. So, yep. It's definitely being discussed. For the bus driver salary guide, we reviewed the proposed salary guide changes, and after discussing, Mr. Bohm will present a revised version to the committee in January, so no recommendation currently. And we did not have any discussion on the board goals as it relates to the finance committee. And again, the financial agenda items you see tonight are normal in nature, except for the pilot resolutions, and the committee's recommend approval. And the bills list is all standard items. And the next meeting is scheduled for January 13th.
Just a question on the boiler. I know that when I got my air conditioner, I got heat pumps. I replaced some of my systems with heat pumps. And there are different levels of efficiency. SEER, you can get SEER, 18, 20, 22, 24, I mean, up to some extremely efficient. But at a certain point, there's a cost benefit. You have to do a cost benefit analysis of it. So is it possible for them, while they're preparing the proposal, to look at what they're recommending, but also to give us, to look at what some of the other options are going to the more efficient end? And then we can say, okay, maybe it's more expensive initially, but there's a payback period of 2 or 4 or 6 years. On a boiler, it's going to last for 50 years. If we can get a payback that's 3 or 4 years, slightly more expensive initially. I mean, I made my point.
Mhm.
But if you could have them come back with an analysis like that, I think that would be useful. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, and
I mean, that's exactly the analysis I went through with,
Yeah.
at a certain point, I said, listen, plus also the more advanced you get,
yeah,
the more technologically advanced it is and the more chance it is it'll break down. So you have to weigh that into it as well.
agreed. And I think that the committee is looking at high efficiency boilers. We're just not in the position yet where we're doing any kind of analysis about what level of high efficiency yet. We're at the discussion about what is our priority project going to be. If it's boilers, then we tell the architects to move forward with, finding manufacturers and, ratings of efficiency of boilers. We're not at that stage of the game yet, but when we get there, we'll have them
They
give us
may
a
just
proposal.
say,
That did come up in the discussion when they were here 2 meetings ago. We had actually asked that question of, how much money are you really saving with the high efficiency? So the other, the lead, the new person,
Tammy?
Tammy, she was going to be working on that.
Yeah. In fact, she was over at Three Bridges today. They were here for a meeting, and then she went over to Three Bridges to check out the current boilers in the boiler room too. So, yeah, no problem.
A question about the Willows and the pilot.
Mhm.
Do we know a number, or was it discussed, the estimate, the impact that it will have on the school districts? The Willows?
And we do not have numbers, if I'm correct.
All we have is projected. We know the Willows we know is going to be 72 units.
You want to?
Are you talking financial numbers or
Yeah, but I'm-
student impact numbers?
enrollment.
Enrollment numbers. Dr. Hart has got, it's a Rutgers report, correct?
Correct.
That we're estimating,
Yeah, there's a calculation that they recommend, and Dr. Hart did do the calculation. We discussed it in finance, and I think he's going to pull it up now. Because we looked at the Willows in Flemington, their first year, what that enrollment was, and it went up in the second year.
Mhm.
So he did a little bit further analysis, so he'll be able to supply those numbers.
So there is a Rutgers report from 2018 that will that actually gives you a formula to do a projection, and the projection's based off of numbers of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom housing, whether it's affordable and market rate, and whether the housing is low rise, like less than 3 stories, or high rise, more than 3 stories. Suffice it to say, they've indicated to us that we have 14 one-bedroom units, and those units cannot have children. There are 40 2-bed units and 18 3-bed units, which can have children. Based off of a couple of different variables and factors, the formula, as well as our comparison ratio to the Flemington Raritan Willows with all 72 units, we expect a potential impact over the next 2 years of approximately 36 students. Now, that's not hard and fast. I'm gonna give a caveat to that. That's using Flemington as a comparison and using the Rutgers report and the formula from the Rutgers report, which actually the only flaw in the Rutgers report is it gives you K-12 numbers of students, and we're a K-8 district. So some percentage of those students aren't going to be here because they'll be at Hunterdon Central. But that's our guess. Initially, in year one, which if it's projected to open in the spring and start filling then, probably less than that, I would estimate 20, maybe fewer than 20 students.
Second part to the question, just under what we're going to be voting on here. Are we asking to be involved in this conversation looking at ongoing funding, or would this be looking at just a one-time sum for funding?
Be ongoing because there's other projects coming. So it's not just our district either. This is, statewide. It's boards of education asking for just a seat at the table to be involved in these pilot programs, their initial discussions.
So we're requesting, or we're reaffirming in JSBA's decision or
Position.
Position on this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
And a resolution like this too, sorry,
No, go ahead.
can also, we are a member of the Garden State Coalition of Schools, which is a legislative group that of school superintendents and schools that has the attention and the resources to get to legislation. So something like this can easily be drafted in a letter sent to them affirming our position consistent with New Jersey school boards and perhaps other boards of education in the state for legislative movement to maybe revisit this as the COA obligations are imposed on municipalities.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
You stole my thunder.
I did. I stole her something. Sorry.
Are there any other questions on the agenda items? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McKalen,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Hannah Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes. We have education and technology.
What?
Can I get a motion to adopt 4.01, 4.06?
So moved.
Second.
And we do not have a report. So are there any questions or comments on the agenda items? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McKalen,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Hannah Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes. Personnel, can I get a motion to adopt 5.01 to 5.07?
So moved.
Second.
And do we have a report?
I don't think we got a draft.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, we had a meeting on Friday the 6th. The minutes aren't approved for it yet, but I mean, what I tell people is that the main discussion from that meeting, obviously every personnel committee meeting, we talk about the personnel issues that we're not allowed to discuss, but the main issue I just want to, it's already been kind of discussed with the effect on our enrollment in the schools. A lot of that is being worked out in the personnel committee. Potential that the school district on top of trying to work with the town to try and forecast how many other kids are coming to the school and how to make the adjustments. So that's a big part of personnel's work going forward.
Sure.
Staffing and students wise.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the agenda items? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jared Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McKalen,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Hannah Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Communications. Can I get a motion to adopt 6.01 to 6.02?
So moved.
Second.
And we have a report.
We met on November the 11th at 3:30. Finally finished our policy alert, 218, policy 3218 and regulation of the same member for use, possession, or distribution of substances. Changes to the existing policy. are the timeline on producing results of drug testing and an addition of a last chance agreement. It's a mandated policy for first read this evening. Policy 7440, school district security and regulation of the same number. Change are noted, we have alarms that meet all the requirements and maps for law enforcement use. This is also a mandated policy for first read this evening. Policy 8670, transportation of special needs students, really just language that changed and an addition of an administrative code. Also a mandated policy for first read this evening. Policy 9400, media regulations, along with some input from our lawyers. Helped with our rewording a little bit, covers media where the other policies that we already had in place cover other areas like social media. Privacy and confidentiality were stressed throughout. It is a recommended policy for first read this evening. Beginning use of Twitter communication for all of our schools. So we all have our little, I don't even know what they're called because I don't tweet.
Twitter handles.
Little handles. I don't tweet. Substitutes and sick time, there was an update on that. Department of Labor still has to send us further clarification. Garden State Coalition of Schools update, current trends and topics, mental health is huge. Pension reform, consolidation, monthly meetings that take place, that we go to when we can. I will be going to the next one. Board and district goals. Board goal number 1, to continue to improve communications and expand community engagement with all stakeholders with focus on broadening our efforts beyond our locality to highlight and celebrate district accomplishments. We are going to share with the Garden State Coalition, increase publications, SEL conference that's taking place in Maryland. Singer, our media specialist, to attend and present at a conference. And Reddington Middle School is going for their green ribbon. For goal number 5, to complete a new strategic plan for the district. Should be done outlining goals by January with those dates moved due to snow. We discussed upcoming press release, tentative topics, and at this time, with a tentative meeting if a new policy alert comes out, but there's no outstanding business right now.
Thank you.
All right, are there any questions on the meeting minutes or the agenda items? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Joe Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Karen Hample,
Yes.
Carl McHale,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Eric Zwilling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Singer.
Yes.
Pass.
We have unfinished business.
Well, I have
Oh.
actually, Green Committee minutes.
Let's see. You want to do that under, we don't actually have a section on. Do you want to do it under new business?
Whatever you think is appropriate, whatever.
Let's do that. Okay. Unfinished business, the November School Safety Summit.
Yeah, I attended the November School Safety Summit. Ray was there also. There were presenters from the New Jersey Department of Education, Office of School Safety, Emergency Preparedness. And the keynote speaker was Lisa Hamp, a survivor of the Virginia Tech shootings. And she gave a pretty lengthy keynote and a really nice address to the whole group about her experience really post Virginia Tech. I would summarize my words would be that I think she really did focus on, some of the underlying effects after an incident like this, like the traumatic effects that maybe you don't recognize at first, but for years it seemed like she really had quite a bit of work to do as far as her post-trauma experience. I thought it was interesting. I don't know, Ray, if you had anything else to add.
Same thoughts. She was in one of the rooms that luckily no one got shot in. They were able to barricade the door. So even though she didn't get shot, it was the mental health. It just kept going. And and that was what my takeaway was that, like, God forbid if anything ever did happen, the mental health aspect, the therapy, it's not just let's have that session next week or a couple sessions, the following week. This girl, it took her 5-6 years, and she didn't even realize it. I mean, this stuff was going on in her physically, body and stuff that was just, she needed some major help, and she finally recognized that it was carrying on, it was a result of this, trauma that she went through 5-6 years ago. And then she got the help she needed, and now she's living, sounds like a very fruitful, happy life. But it took her a very long time to really acknowledge what she was going through. So, but it was a very good speech. But
Yeah.
Any other unfinished business you'd like to bring up? Moving into new business. You want to go ahead, Eric?
I sent out minutes just a couple of hours ago, but I do realize I did not get them approved by the board. I sent them out. I thought that was miraculous enough. I didn't. Anyway, so without objection, I will read them and say that they're tentative at the moment.
Okay.
So we had a presentation on the RMS Global Goals Green Team, Ms. Freeman, and we saw the members here today. It was a wonderful presentation of the program's goals and activities. They're using the green ribbon as a baseline. Very comprehensive approach covering health, waste, well-being, environmental and sustainability learning. They talked about collaboration and communication, working together, you have happy and healthy people. There was a lively discussion about how to engage other people, and there was a discussion about the aquaponics grant, which is what we just saw today. There was they updated us on the green ribbon application for the school, the timing of it. Ms. Freeman and Mr. Race did. Also, there was a short discussion about the White House Roots and Shoots $5,000 grant. There was just a very short notation of the fact about the green ribbon ceremony down in DC, and then also there was a New Jersey recognition of that on December 4th that Dr. Hart and I, please, it's like an auction, we make a sound, we call it. Dr. Hart and I attended down in Trenton on December 4th, where we received some additional recognition at the state level. There was then discussion about what the board goal number 1 is to continue to improve communications and expand beyond and expand community engagement with with other stakeholders with this focus on broadening our efforts beyond our locality to highlight and celebrate district accomplishments, emphasizing on sustainability and green initiatives. Dr. Hart led a discussion about possible publications and presentations, discussion of subjects of some of those possible communications, and also what some of those opportunities would be of those publication outreach programs. Then I gave a presentation on as yet embryonic proposal that I put forth for a new Reddington Green Schools initiative, which is a proposal which is a comprehensive integrated program encompassing sustainability and wellness. It's based upon similar programs in a number of school districts from around the country. Many of the components are already addressed in several district policies, such as the sustainability policy, the energy policy, the wellness policy. We have the idling policy. All of them are in disparate places. This puts it all together. If adopted, and the initiative expands beyond them and consolidates them into one coherent guiding document. If adopted, this could serve for long-term district goal setting, such as strategic planning. Document was shared as a Google document for committee member input to be discussed at the next meeting, which is January 14th. We've already had some good comments. Dr. Hart has already commented on it. Sarah Pouch has also commented on it. There are some good comments already received from some of the members. There's also discussion of expanding the portfolio of the person supervising the program from that of an energy manager to one more broadly defined.
Mr. Zwirling, we need to refrain from personnel being discussed in these minutes, okay?
Oh, so then
Just leave that part out.
I will, then I will consider that to be an edit to the final.
Okay.
I said this is a tentative. Okay.
I just, before the words came out, I just wanted to.
Oh, so, I mean, definitely I'll take it out. I'm just wondering, I mean, so even if it was discussed, I generally think of minutes as being something that reflects what, all right, hey, we'll talk off record. Yes,
Okay.
yes. But, okay, never mind. We'll leave it at that. Okay, then there was a discussion of energy conservation program and solar update. Ms. Betterman then provided us an update on the solar photovoltaic production and energy use. And that was the committee meeting. So the value of the program is that currently there is no central location for all this information. This would be achieving that. Once the committee finishes with it, it will be put to the board, and the board can decide if it likes it, doesn't like it, shelve it, accept it.
And then your next meeting is January 14th?
Yes.
It's wonderful. Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I didn't want you to say something that you can't take back.
Well, yes, understood.
Okay. An email had gone out about January 13th at 2:30 at the RMS, the food advisory meeting. That is open for you to attend, should you desire. I may go.
I would like to attend it.
Apparently, a topic of that day will be the grab and go on what to put in it. Because last week there was stuff, now there's not. I don't understand.
It was beautiful too.
You see pictures.
He sent me
I
pictures.
did. It's in the Bugle. I was so excited.
Yeah, I heard also that it wasn't out.
Yep.
Hoagie
It was
Daddy,
dark.
First words out of the mouth every day.
Okay, so any other new business from the board?
Yeah. Andy and I actually attended the County School Boards Association dinner this month.
Nice.
Some discussion about school nutrition with one of them. Some information about the census coming up, but really the keynote speaker was about holistic approach to mindfulness. And it was, one woman in particular who was definitely trying to sell a curriculum, but the information surrounding it, and the need for things like that was very good. And then sort of as a follow-up, Anthony Chumalo and I attended the SEL series conference this month as well. And I like going to these sort of district series because it highlights a lot of community resources that we might not know about. So Anthony and I put heads together for a couple minutes afterward before we left. But UBHC, University Behavioral Health, was there to discuss their roles in schools and how they've helped. Traumatic Loss Coalition was there. Ocean County School District was there to discuss kind of a program that they've instituted called Wellness Rooms. It's an extension of the guidance department, and the information that they shared was really, really interesting. And then kind of an offshoot of the Division of Child and Family was there as well, talking about sort of CMO and just care management for some of high-risk students. So definitely great resources that are available to us. So Anthony's got that info, and I know he plans on reaching out to a couple people. He and I had talked about maybe going down to Ocean County to even see these wellness rooms, but it is a 2-hour drive, so I don't know how feasible that is, but just a lot of good things, and all very much focused on SEL and mental health and things that we should consider with strategic planning coming up.
Excellent.
Adding on to that, there's a program slightly south. I guess it's more of like a mom of a speaker who comes in and tries to talk about awareness and things like that. It's called AIR. And there's another one that was presented at NJSBA, the Dillon's Wings of Hope or Wings of Change?
Wings of Change.
Wings of Change.
Wingman program.
Thank you. Wingman program, which is really popular in, I know Edison is doing it, and I know a teacher in Edison, and she is one of the contacts for it, and they absolutely love it there, which is just another.
It's very huge in Middlesex County right now. He's come in and done a lot of training. It's all about kind of the older kids being mentors for younger kids. So like 4th grade works with kindergarten, and it's a neat setup.
And it's Wingman?
Yeah.
The Wingman program. I think I can get contact information, but
Send
I
it to
probably have it.
I know the counselors may or may know about it because I know that Anthony's working with them to investigate some of these programs this year.
But this being
Another-
right next door,
Yeah.
Middlesex.
Yeah, I want to say one of them was even like the Leader in Me was something that came up. I think through the counselors, there were a couple of them, but yeah.
Okay.
Send it to me.
Okay.
But I know they're investigating, so while they're under their investigation of something that they may want to do as an initiative, then it's good for them, for the counselors and Anthony to have all the info.
Right.
Excellent.
All right. I have a delegates report. You ready for it?
Sorry, I stepped on toes.
No, good. So I attended the New Jersey School Boards Association semi-annual delegate assembly on November 23rd. They started with an executive director report. The highlights from that were just that NJSBA supports the full funding of the districts that feel like they've lost funds or have lost funds from the state. NJSBA supports all boards on the issue of state funding. Specifically, they want to give school boards the option to exceed the 2% cap. Additionally, state support for special education out of district placements is something that they are supporting now. And then, of course, the pilot program, which is why I was asking about this, they are essentially stating that it is a problem. So that was discussed. The goals for NJSBA in 2019-2020 are to create a new board member online program so you can see all of your transcripts in one place. They wanted to do that by June, but I was on their website last week. I think it's actually already up and running. And then they're starting a new ad hoc committee on mental health services in public schools. And you should let President Mike or the executive director, Feinstad, know if you are interested there in being on that committee. Their information is available on the website. You do not have to be a delegate to be part of that committee. There was one resolution that was voted on, essentially in Hillsborough. They built a lot of homes and they saw a spike in their local fair share, which meant that they lost state funding. Based off of that, based off of losing state funding, they lost 37 jobs. And they asked for a local increase, which was voted on, and it was actually voted down. It did not pass. And so this resolution was just Hillsborough Township asking NJSBA to put into its policies and positions on education that NJSBA believes that instances where districts cannot meet their local fair share per the state funding formula, those districts may be allowed to exceed the statutory levy caps to meet the local share. And then the second part of that resolution was just to do that on a rolling basis as opposed to a year-to-year basis, because in this instance in Hillsborough, a lot of houses were built in 1 year, which then changed the fair share for that year. But if you look at it around a rolling basis, the 5-year average of that change would far less impact their budget. And then they actually just closed out with an address by Senate President Sweeney, just a few high-level takeaways that may be applicable to our board. Oh, and by the way, that resolution did pass. Both parts of that did pass. And I abstained from voting. I hadn't discussed this with the board prior to going there, so I wasn't comfortable actually voting for the resolution. But it did pass like 120 to 20 or something. So our vote wouldn't necessarily have drastically impacted the outcome there. Okay, back to Senate President Sweeney. We talked a lot about the path to progress, and he has a couple of promises that he would like to see happen in the state. One of them being extraordinary funding, again, or funding for extraordinary out-of-district placements, which matches NJSBA's policy position. School consolidations are still at the forefront of his mind, which he believes in the path to progress would actually provide better healthcare for teachers, in his opinion. And there are also some issues that he believes will be addressed with countywide segregation that's happening in New Jersey, just being the most diverse state with the most segregated schools. In his mind, the path to progress would actually reduce the segregation that we see in schools here. And then lastly, he made a pretty firm statement about affordable housing, which of course relates to Nelson Street, the Willows, et cetera, here in Reddington Township. His statement essentially said that many townships have fought against affordable housing, and that is essentially just completely failed in the courts, and he views lawsuits against affordable housing as essentially a waste of money. And so, yeah, that was essentially what he said. He did take questions from 40 or 50 different people, delegates. He answered those within 60 to 90 minutes. In the future, I will bring the resolutions to you prior to going so that we can actually have an opinion and be able to have our vote heard. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Anything else under new business? Because that was a lot. We don't normally have that much. That's good. Does anybody have an interest in the mental health committee?
What do you mean committee, how it fits?
The
Ad hoc committee.
The ad hoc committee that he was talking about?
That's school boards, one of the goals of school boards, having an ad hoc committee for mental health.
Yeah, I can get you more information if anybody's interested.
Yes.
Maybe send it to you. And
Sounded interesting, especially given everything. All right, we are now open to the public. Anything on or off the agenda? Not hearing any. We're going to move into executive session now. I need a motion to adjourn to executive session in accordance with the Sunshine Law to discuss a HIB, legal matters, and negotiations for approximately 30 minutes, at which time the board expects to return to public session where no action will be taken. The matters discussed will be made public if and when the circumstances requiring confidentiality no longer exist. However, it is not presently known when such circumstances will exist. Can I get that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Chad Beatrice,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Ample,
Yes.
Rob McCaven,
Yes.
Andrew Saunders,
Yes.
Thomas Wallace,
Yes.
Douglas Rolling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.